What's going on YouTube? Today we've got the 2023 Lexus GX 460.
And we want to know, is this tough and rugged luxury SUV still worth a look in 2023?
Let's go ahead and find out right now. So let's start out with a quick spec dump about what's under the hood of this GX 460. Well, the 460 actually does mean something with this model. It means the displacement of the V8, 4.6 liter V8, naturally aspirated, 301 horsepower, 329 pound-feet of torque.
It's going to be paired to a 6-speed automatic transmission. Full-time 4-wheel drive is standard on every single GX model, and as far as your fuel economy ratings, it's going to be an old school and earth-killing 15, 19, 16 miles a gallon combined. So not great fuel economy, but you don't buy this vehicle for that reason.
One of the reasons you might buy it is the exterior design, so let's go ahead and get into that. So when it comes to the exterior design, this is honestly still a pretty handsome looking SUV, and it still looks pretty fresh, despite the fact that this generation actually made its debut back when I was in middle school and Mason was in the 4th grade. So it's been a while, but Lexus has really done a good job, I think, keeping things fresh. Now let's talk about what's new for 2023, because there's two things I want to mention right from the start. Nori Green is now offered on just the Blackline model, and this right here is actually a new color. It doesn't really look like it, but this is the new Eminent White Pearl, replaces the previous Starfire Pearl. Now taking a look at our grille, we've got the signature Lexus spindle. It's got the gray mesh through here, the silver finish that goes around it. This particular model also has the Sport Design package, so that's going to be the gray lower body kit that goes through the front end as well as the rest of the exterior. Taking a look at our headlights, signature Lexus design. These are triple beam LEDs, and they're actually standard on every single trim level. You've got the arrowhead daytime running light as well. Your turn signal is going to be incandescent and separated down here, but you will also find LED fog lamps on premium and luxury trims. Now coming around to the rear design, there of course aren't really any substantial changes to the overall look.
Now wait, Drew, there is one change for 2023, and that's that the Blackline model up here at the spoiler area is going to be fully blacked out. So they're going to black out the shark fin and the spoiler. It actually makes for a more substantial design change than you would expect in terms of the overall look. And as far as the rest of the features, it's going to be your signature GX look. Let's go ahead and check out the taillights and see if all three elements are LED. Drew's going to go ahead and hop inside here. We have an LED brake light portion, incandescent reverse light, incandescent turn signal. So 1 out of 3 elements are LED. Definitely would like to see all 3 elements as LED, especially on a luxury SUV like this, but this vehicle does date back quite a ways, so I'm not surprised by that. One thing worth pointing out is since we do have the Sport Design package, we have the smoked clear lenses. Other models will just have the plain clears. I like the smoked finish a lot better. Now dropping down to the lower area, we have this gray finish. Once again, because we have the Sport model, we're gonna have an exposed gray exhaust pipe, and as far as your tow rating, it's gonna be 6,500 pounds on every single GX model.
Next up, let's talk about the wheel options. Most models are going to come with 18-inch alloy wheels. We have the Sport Design package, so that's going to get you these 19-inch gray finished alloy wheels. Of course, the wheels are going to be a little bit smaller and your tread is going to be thicker because this is a very off-road capable vehicle, even if most people's off-road experience in these is just accidentally running over a curb at your local Walmart. Now, coming up here to our mirrors. We do have 3 out of 4 as standard features, so that's going to be heating, power folding, and blind spot monitoring. If you want auto dimming, you'll need to choose the luxury trim level.
Now the GX is all about having that boxy and rugged look, and you can see that really well here at the side. Its overall length is coming in at 192.1 inches, which is a good size for this type of vehicle. Now, as far as your safety systems are concerned, I do also want to talk about that with this product because Lexus is throwing in all 4 of your safety features as standard equipment, which does include nice features such as adaptive cruise control. But guys, that's going to wrap up the tough outside design of this GX. Now let's go ahead and check out the inside and see if there's any luxury in there.
All right, let's go ahead and climb inside. First, we'll take a quick look at the key fob. Typical Lexus key fob. You do have standard smart entry on every single GX. And that means you can just grab behind the handle and that will unlock the door. Let's get things started with the interior by talking about our different material and color choices. So the base model will come with new luxe leatherette, as well as this premium model that we have today. This, though, I have to say, is really convincing as genuine leather. It is super soft and supple in this perforated part here in the middle. Really impressed by this. You do have the choice between black, ecru, Rioja red, or this sepia. Now the luxury model, that's going to come with semi-aniline leather seats, and it comes in the same color options. As far as the seats, they're going to be 10-way power adjusting with 2-way lumbar support on all trims. And we'll go ahead and climb inside. Now getting inside, we do have fixed running boards up here, so it's pretty easy to climb on in. And we'll go ahead and talk about overall cabin materials since I already talked about the colors. So over here in the door trim, we do have leather across this part. It's finished in the same color as the seats as well as the plastic. Along the top is going to be soft touch plastic. As we go to the upper dash, more soft touch plastic. We do have a genuine high gloss piece of wood through here as well as the door trim. More leather through there and leather all the way down here and along the console where your knees rest against with real wood in the middle. Of course, everything in here is going to be super solid and well put together. Let's go ahead and fire it up. Let's move in a little closer and first look at our gauge cluster. As you can see, mostly analog, but we do have a 4.2-inch multi-function display right there in the middle with all the expected information, including your safety systems. Of course, you do have rain-sensing wipers. And taking a look at the steering wheel, we do have an updated design. It is actually mostly wood, so you've got the wood at the bottom as well as wood all across the top, and then leather for the area that you're supposed to grip the steering wheel at. Speaking of the steering wheel, it is going to be standard power adjusting, and most models will also come with steering wheel heating. But let's go ahead and take a look at interior storage next. So start out over here at our center console. By the way, both sides do adjust forward, so you can have a better place to rest your arm. And opening that up, we have a little storage area that we can toss off to the side, and then we have a very large storage bin with a felt lining down there at the bottom. Plenty of space for all of these Subway coupons, so we can be saving on our $5 footlongs, which will help us pay for gas. And then up in front of that, we've got our 2 cup holders. And in front of that, we have a little bit more storage with 2 USB ports and an aux jack. Now pulling back to the shifter, we do have the traditional style on board. Of course, just pull back for drive. You can bump over here to the left if you want to shift manually. There are not paddle shifters on the steering wheel. And then when we go into reverse, you're either going to find this standard backup camera, or you can also find a panoramic view monitor, which was something that was newly added last year and actually has a trail camera available on the black line model as well. Now you don't have an electronic parking brake, you have the more traditional style foot activated one. And then right above that, we do have our 3-stage heated seats and 3-stage ventilated seats. These are both going to be included on the premium trim level. Now right above that, we have our volume knob for the audio system. So the standard system is going to be 9 speakers, but we have the optional 17-speaker, 330-watt Mark Levinson premium sound system. So we'll go ahead and give it a sample right now. Yeah, so overall, that is a really excellent sounding sound system. Really fills up this cabin well. And you even have a CD slot, so you can pop in that old school Motley Crue CD and jam out to your heart's desire. Now up above that As I said before, this is a pretty off-road oriented vehicle, so you do have your four-wheel drive controls. You have some additional settings over here underneath of the push-button start. And then above that, we have our 3-zone automatic climate control. This was updated recently to have this new design, but operation is very easy. You just use the little toggles to change the temperature, of course, and we do have the vents right above that. Now, one of the other things that was updated is this display. So this is a 10.3-inch touchscreen. It was added with the interior refresh. And this is actually both a touchscreen, and you can also use that remote touch controller you saw earlier down there next to the shifter. Most importantly, for those of you who like to use the most modern technology, you do have Android Auto and Apple CarPlay, the wired variety. Now up top, we do have an auto dimming mirror, 3 home-link universal remotes built into that. Really nice headliner, super soft and supple. Then of course we do have a sunroof, as you'd expect. This is a standard size setup, not a panoramic one, but it does open up nice and wide and has a built-in wind buffer.
Now hopping into the GX's rear areas, we're going to have some good and some bad things. Now I will go ahead and start out by talking about the space. We're looking at 34 inches of legroom, 40 inches of headroom. So really good news in the headroom front, because if you're really tall, you're going to have plenty of space. That's a lot of headroom for any type of SUV, and that's because it has that big boxy design on the outside. The legroom, not so great in terms of the actual number. We'll look at our knee space here. We're sitting at about 8 inches though, so totally fine in terms of the knee space because they have cut the seat out to maximize that potential. Now I do want to point out, you can slide this seat forward and back really good distance. You can also recline it, so that's quite nice. You can quite actually make yourself pretty comfortable. Now as far as the seat itself, you will notice that we have captain's chairs on this particular model. That's because we have the Sport that throws the captain's chairs in. You can also get bench seating if you prefer that. Now, as far as some features, here in the center we have 2-stage heated rear seats. We're also going to have our own climate controls. Down below that, we have 2 USB ports. These are charging variety. These were added a few years ago as a nice feature. And then 2 pop-out cup holders in between the 2 seats. Now, let's go ahead and turn to the door trim. The door trim is going to be pretty nicely finished. Soft touch in the upper part, more wood trim through the middle, leather armrest, and then down the very bottom we have some bottle storage. I do also want to point out that we have rear vents integrated up here in the ceiling. And now here comes some of the bad part. Let's go ahead and check out the third row. So in order to get back here, Lexus made it pretty easy. You just grab this little lever right here. That folds the seat back forward and allows you to slide it easily out of way. Now let's go ahead and climb back here though and see what the third row is like. Now first of all, I will point out it's a 2-seater only, so don't fall in this middle part or you probably will puncture your butthole here. Now, as far as the space itself is concerned, we're not going to have a lot of it. Now, this seat is adjusted all the way back in its track, so do keep that in mind. The recline is just a normal recline. I have no space for my knees. I'm 5'9" for reference, if I haven't already mentioned that. So I'm not like a massive person. My feet also cannot slide up underneath the seat, and the thigh support is rather lacking. So this third row, as far as on our rating scale, is definitely going to land in the bad kids only phase. So that's our lowest rating tier, just because it's just not comfortable. This is emergencies only, basically. And as far as features are concerned, we do have cup holders integrated right here on the side. We do have a assist grip for whatever you'd need to use that for. And then as far as vents, we do also have vents, which makes it a little bit nicer place to spend time. Now let's go ahead and check out one of the most unique elements about this GX. So first of all, I want to point out that you do have rear popping glass. That's something that we do not see on a lot of modern SUVs, so that's a pro of this being a little bit of an older model. So you do have that feature if you want it. Now here comes the unique part. So instead of a traditional power tailgate, the GX throws in this odd side opening tailgate. So you don't have any type of power abilities or anything like that because it's side opening. You do have this little hydraulic arm here that makes it a lot easier to open though. Now, as far as the space is concerned in this GX's rear area, now you're looking at about 11 cubic feet according to Lexus. I think it might even be a little bit less than that behind the third row seats. If you fold those third row seats down takes a little bit to fold them down. You're looking at 36 cubic feet of cargo capacity. And if you fold the second row seats down, you're looking at about 64 cubic feet of maximum capacity in the GX, which is not massive for a vehicle of this size. Of course, this is a very off-road capable vehicle, and typically you get less cargo capacity with vehicles like that because look at how high the load floor is. I do want to point that out. If you're going to be loading stuff into your GX a lot, this is going to be difficult because the load floor is very high. Now, there's not a handle in the cargo area to fold the seats down, but you can just manually walk up and fold them down like that. And then that gives you your maximum 64 cubic feet, as I mentioned earlier. Let's go ahead and get our measuring tape out so we can see how much space there is from the front of the seat back all the way to the rear of the cargo. We're going to be sitting about 74 inches, so I would say you're probably good to put about a 65 to 70 inch TV in the rear of this Lexus GX. And it is a very tall area, so you probably will be able to stack up pretty well. It's also worth noting that we do have a full-size spare tire that's going to be integrated down underneath of here. Well, guys, here we are behind the wheel of the 2023 Lexus GX 460. And in this test drive, we're going to be talking about a lot of different information, as you'll see pop up right down there, as well as getting stuff like our signature sound level reading. So let's go ahead and hop into that by getting a hard acceleration.
Gotta love that nice burly V8 sound. So like we had already discussed on the spec dump section, this does have the 4.6 liter V8, the old school V8 that it's had for a while, 301 horsepower.
329 pound-feet of torque, which is good to get this GX 460 model up to 60 miles an hour in 7.8 seconds, which is definitely not going to knock your socks off. It's not incredibly powerful. 300 horsepower for something this heavy is, I'd say, adequate. It's, enough to get you up to speed, but not quickly. Now, you might also notice that we have a 6-speed automatic transmission on board with this GX. That's going to be one of your other old school elements, and
I have to say, it is really, really smooth.
yeah.
We talk about this sometimes. It's not all about the numbers. We've been in some transmissions with some high numbers, 9-speed, 10-speed, whatever, and behind the wheel, it just doesn't really help the overall experience because they're rough, they hunt around for gears. It's all about, the programming and how smooth that you make it, and this one is very smooth.
Yeah, I'd say it's a really good mate to the 4.6 liter. They've been making it for a long time. They've had a lot of time to refine this powertrain setup. Indeed, this GX has a very smooth and refined experience under the hood. Now, of course, we do also have standard full-time four-wheel drive on this GX. This is a very off-road capable vehicle. A lot of people, we like to joke about it at the beginning of the video. A lot of people will never use this vehicle for what it's worth when it comes to off-road capability. That being said, it is still a very off-road capable product. And now we're up to speed in the GX 460. We finally got a little bit out of traffic, and we can talk about this vehicle's ride quality. Now, as you would expect, this is a luxury SUV, and it does indeed have really good ride quality. Now, one of the good traits about a lot of off-roading focused vehicles are that they have kind of bouncy suspensions that absorb the bumps really well. That's the case with this GX, and I'd say it's also relatively controlled in everyday driving as well, so it's not like a bad vehicle to drive, but it has that very luxurious feel when you're just cruising down the highway. Also, the seats are incredibly comfortable up here in the front. The back seats aren't quite as comfortable, but these front seats are awesome. Now, I do also want to point out that the GX 460 luxury model will have an adaptive variable suspension. We do not have the luxury model with us today, so we can't comment on how much of an improvement that makes to your overall ride quality, but I can say that this premium model has a very solid ride. All right, and we'll get up to 55 miles an hour so we can get our signature sound level reading. 56.4 decibels is our official Car Confections sound level reading. And as far as how that compares to some of its competition, depending on what category you put it, it is going to be about in the middle of the segment in terms of its sound level reading. And do keep in mind it is pretty windy outside today, which would make sense why this might have a little bit of a louder reading. It's because this kind of boxy square shape doesn't really make for too aerodynamic of a feel on this GX model. And let's go ahead and knock off some of our other Car Confections signature elements, our airball and slam dunk. Now, as far as our slam dunk, I'll kick us off with that. It's just going to be the overall old school nature of this GX. Now, it's not for everybody. Not everyone's going to want to get in a 2023 model and feel like they're in an older product, but it is for a lot of people. A lot of people really like that old school feel, and you are definitely going to get it in this GX. Lexus makes a lot of other crossovers. If you want new technology and stuff like that, go get an RX, an NX, an LX has better technology. There are a lot of different options for you, but this has that old school feel that I think a lot of people like.
Now for the airball, we're going to say it is the practicality. You are going to have, of course, a little bit of a compromised third row situation. Some of that is, because of the off-road capability. Now, before we end this test drive, I do want to mention just briefly the kind of handling situation with this GX. It is an older school truck-based platform. So in terms of that, you are going to have a little bit of nosedive when you are braking and accelerating.
Yeah.
And with the steering, this is going to be on the heavier side of things. I do like this. This is a hydraulic style steering system, so it does have pretty light feel once you get up to speed, a little heavier at parking lot speeds.
And wrapping things up with our fuel economy, we're going to be rated at 15 city, 19 highway, 16 miles a gallon combined. That's for every single GX model because we do have standard four-wheel drive and only one engine option. It goes without saying that's not fantastic fuel economy, but once again, you don't buy a vehicle like this for good fuel economy, and indeed this does not have good fuel economy, so expect to pay a little bit more at the pump if you choose to buy one.
And I believe it's on regular fuel as well.
Yeah, I do believe so. So that saves you a little bit. And as far as your warranty is concerned, you're going to have Lexus's signature warranty, which is going to be 4-year 50,000 miles for your basic, 6-year 70,000 miles for your powertrain warranty, and they're also going to throw in some complimentary maintenance as well. And wrapping up this review, I do want to talk about how much a GX is going to cost. Now we're starting at $57,500 this year. That does come standard with four-wheel drive, as I mentioned earlier. Premium's going to start at $58,910. Luxury is $68,230. That is about a $2,000 to $3,000 price increase for the 2023 model year. And as far as how this GX is equipped, we do have quite a few options on the premium. Plus the 1150 destination, we're looking at $66,480 as tested. But guys, that's going to wrap up our in-depth review of the 2023 Lexus GX 460. If you enjoyed watching this video or found it helpful in your purchasing decisions, we would really appreciate it if you hit that subscribe button down below. By doing so, you help give us access to cooler cars to show you all on the channel, so please do that. Also, if you're already a subscriber, we really appreciate your support of the channel because you make this all possible. If you haven't checked out our TikTok or Instagram pages, please go ahead and check those out as well. And we'll catch you next time as we sample more of the latest automotive delicacies.